Guess who's back? Back
that?
again. Karate 360 is back. Tell your friends. Yes, hello, we are back again. This is Karate 360. My name is Kalan Anglos.
I'm Richard Mosdell.
And we are the hosts of Karate 360. Hello, guys. Thank you again for listening in. This is episode 19. We are excited to be here. We have some new karate news to bring you guys. Lots of stuff to talk about. But Richard, you know what's really been bugging me is why has there not ever been a Canada Open Championship tournament?
I know, me too. I've been thinking the same thing, and I think I should do something about it.
I think something should absolutely be done about it.
I don't know. Am I the type of guy that would have that type of crazy energy?
You know what? You seem like the type of guy, and I'm just going off the whim here. You seem like the type of guy that likes to make things happen.
A glutton for punishment.
A glutton for punishment, yeah. So tell us, what are you going to do for us?
How about this? I will negotiate with Karate Canada and Karate BC to host one June 3rd and 4th at the Richmond Olympic Oval right beside Vancouver, and we'll get all the details out in the next 2 weeks.
That sounds amazing.
Would you like that?
That would be absolutely incredible. And tell us a little bit, how it's going to be run and who's going to come.
Well, it's open to anybody from 7 years old and up. If you're a beginner to an intermediate to an elite level, you think you're the next Olympic champion, you can go. Take the U.S. Open, spin it with maple syrup, add a few boots and a few Canada A's and put it in beautiful Vancouver. Really cool thing about this venue is, as you know very well, it's got a whole massive wall of glass. You can look at the North Shore Mountains.
Absolutely. You can see them right from the mats if you really want. Not that I would suggest it if you're in the middle of a competition,
No.
But if you absolutely wanted to, you could just look out and say, wow, there's the mountains.
You can have a Zen moving moment and then go back on the mats and kick butt and then get off and have another Zen moving moment and walk from the venue to your hotel, take a train all the way in town or get a free shuttle bus back and forth from the airport. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. And maybe if you're just lucky, you can become the first Canada Open champion.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. Other tournaments coming up here, guys. The K1 Paris tournament. This is going to be a monumental, record-breaking, record-setting tournament in Paris, January 27th to 29th. We talked about that a little bit on our last episode, so go back and listen to that. Also, the Karate Canada National Championships are in Quebec City this year, February 24th to 26th. And the U.S. Open is April 14th and 16th later on this year as well. So we'll be talking all about that as we get going. But again, we are Karate 360. This is episode 19, and we're going to bring you guys some news and everything that's fun about karate. So here we go. Let's start the show. Karate 360. Let's start the show. You will kick high and I will sweep low. From local to global, the thing that you love. Karate Sanrokumaru. Here we go again, guys. Episode 19. Richard.
That's right. Let's clear the air and talk about Mr. Ryan O'Neill.
Ryan O'Neill.
Hey, Ryan, if you heard last weekend, we just went with a newspaper article where they didn't dig all the way back into the facts that you were already on the Canadian national team. You had been to the Senior Pan Am, so congratulations for that. 2016 national championships, you got 2 silver medals, and in 2015 you got a gold in U21 minus 67 division, and you've been going to nationals for a few years. So Ryan, just letting you know, we wanted to follow up and say good luck, kick butt, and we're cheering you on as you make the attempt to go to 2020.
Absolutely, and we'll be seeing you probably at the Karate Canada Nationals later in February.
Exactly. So if we do another live broadcast, come say hi and be on the show.
Absolutely, and we will be live broadcasting from the National Championships for all of those of you that are wondering.
And every single week, lots of stuff is happening. Kalan, what's happening?
Well, this week has been a heart rate variability week.
A heart rate variability week.
A heart rate variability week.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because last week we talked a lot about heart rate and how we could use that to monitor karate athletes. Well, this week I've had people come to me, say, let's hook me up. I want to know what my heart rate variability is. And I know I guess people are just starting to realize that maybe I'm somebody that might know a thing or two about heart rate variability, so they want to get it strapped on. They want to know what it's all about. So I've probably done maybe a dozen different athletes and people that train with me, heart rate variability. Actually, I was taking my heart rate variability just before you walked in here.
Okay.
So it's just been a busy doing that pretty much all week, and it's fun because I get to kind of break down what's going on a little bit.
So the reason for measuring someone's heart rate variability is?
Oh man, there's all kinds of good reasons. Well, first of all, you can find out what your true heart rate is, heart rate max is, what your true heart rate intensity is, training intensity. But most importantly, and what I think is the best thing about heart rate variability, is it can actually tell you if you're overtrained or if you're overstressed or if you should be training on a certain day, if you shouldn't be training. It would tell you if you're undertrained, yep, for sure. Mostly it tells you if you're overtrained. But basically, you know, not to get too technical here, in the science world, you have your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system, which is just basically if you're amped up or if you're nice and calm. Heart rate variability can tell you if you're stressed and too amped up, and sometimes that's a case where maybe you don't want to actually train that day. And what I mean by amped up is, I mean, usually that means you have some kind of stress going on in your life, whether it's physical stress, emotional stress, just stress hormones in your body, and that's usually not a time that you want to train at 100%. So what we've been doing is we've been monitoring these athletes' heart rate variability and then seeing what it's at on the day that they train and then scaling their training based on what their heart rate variability is on that day.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm a little bit of a nerd, I guess, that way, but I just love looking at that kind of stuff.
So go to Kalan's website and ask him how you too he can hook you up and learn all this stuff.
Yeah, and heart rate variability is it's a newer thing in the research, but it's starting to catch on, especially in all the professional sports. A lot of athletes are using it. And what I just saw just the other day was that there's a app that just came out, a free app that you can get on your phone that works with many of the heart rate monitors, the standard heart rate monitors, and it'll just turn that heart rate into a heart rate variability because it is a little bit different. So totally cool and just kind of groundbreaking stuff coming to sports, but to sport karate as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. How about you? What was going on for you this week? I'm sure you had nothing going on, and I'm sure it wasn't busy at all, and you just had loads of free time.
Yeah, in my fantasy life.
Yeah, that's right.
My fantasy life is about having free time.
Yeah, that's right. Dreaming of free time.
That's right. That's right. Let's see. You know what? When people study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and they talk about it's so realistic, and we choke people out all the time, and when you get choked out, you have like a born again experience, like how effective this is.
Sure.
Because I'm always looking at different martial arts, and especially people who are very talented at it, and listening to what they have to say. And sometimes, actually today over lunch, I was listening to a podcast where the guy was saying, you know, he's done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 5 years, and this whole thing about getting, wrestling, tumbling with someone, then you get choked out. And then Joe Rogan talks about that in his podcast. Like, that's when you know it's really happening. But all the other martial arts, you know, you're just dancing, you're just moving. There's no application of reality. And I can see it from their angle. And by the way, I'm a big BJJ fan, so that's
me as well.
Yeah,
me as well. I love training BJJ for sure.
But I was thinking, in karate, you have a thing where we still have the same version of finding out that you've just been beaten.
Yeah.
And that's when someone overwhelms you with a technique, and they don't even have to smack you hard in the head, but they beat your guard convincingly. That means they go past your guard and you haven't even flinched your hands, and maybe not even flinched your eyes.
Yeah.
You know?
You win. Yeah.
You know, and then they snap their technique out, or they sweep you to the ground, or they put their foot up on your head and they take it back. That's a convincing win. To me, that's like getting choked out.
Sure, yeah.
Right? But the one thing I really like about that is whether it's soft touch or air touch. Soft touch meaning you're tagging, but the skin's not moving, or air touch means only the air. Is that to me is similar to the choke out situation that people talk about in BJJ.
Yeah.
Even though it's less obvious, but if you recognize that it happened, sometimes with beginners, when you're sparring them, they don't recognize that these really fast techniques are actually scoring techniques. So, and this would be a good segue to what we want to talk about later. But, you know, with the referees, when they stop the match, they're signifying the fact that, yeah, that technique was actually in, and had they committed, you would have felt it a little bit more.
Yeah. Whether
they actually fell down or not, I don't know. So, so I've been thinking about that, among other thoughts, about what is the choke out moment of karate.
Right.
Related to BJJ.
Sure.
And I think it's that moment you realize that you really did lose something.
Yeah. And I think it's the same humbling experience. I mean, I've trained BJJ for a little while now, and obviously karate for years and years and years. And I think it's the same thing, getting that choke out feeling where when you get a technique scored on you in karate, you you get that same humbling feeling where you're like, oh, he scored on me, like he got me, like you got me type thing. It's the exact same thing as when somebody gets you an arm bar or a choke out or whatever. It's like, yep, you got me. Like, that's okay. I know what I have to fix. We'll come back and we'll do it again type thing. So it's the exact same feeling, what you get emotionally, but physically it obviously is a little bit different.
So that's been one thing I've been thinking about. And then the other one is, this is a karate podcast and we're talking about all kinds of things. But I was also thinking how we should be able to ask each other, like we should have a segment, maybe we can do a little bit today, Ask Me Anything segment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think it helps, like what makes someone tick, what makes someone really interested in karate, what are some things that have triggered you to go in certain directions?
For sure. What perspectives do you have on certain things?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I just realized today that next year, it will be 40 years since I started martial arts.
Wow.
Right? Next year.
Wow.
Not this year.
Not this year.
This
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Next year. And it has never been always a straight through line. Well, once I was in karate, it basically was. But there was judo, there was kung fu, there was karate. But yeah, next year will be 40 years since I actually started trying something when I was a little kid. So really started thinking about, all right, so there's been a lot of triggers to change what's happened. And I'm not one to look at my footsteps. I like to look at my feet, right? Like, learn from the past, but I'm always looking at the future.
Sure. Yeah.
I plan to be 100 years old and the whole time be involved.
Absolutely. You'll
Right?
be in the dojo. We've talked about this. We'll have to
Yeah.
drag you. Sensei,
Exactly.
we need to leave the dojo now.
Yeah. I think I'm one of the few people that say, okay, class is over, but I'm not closing for a long time.
Yeah. You can stay as long as you want.
Yeah. Eventually, I might have to kick you out when I get really hungry.
Yeah.
Because I want people to practice and know that this is here for them. So I've been thinking about it. Ask Me Anything partial episode to bring some light, to make it more like, if we have an opinion, we're talking about something and we're trying to describe it, but I think there might be more that we can describe in the background.
For sure. And it'd help the listeners as well to know what our background is or how we think to just kind of know where we're coming from when we give our opinions, because that's what we want to do here on the show is give our opinions on things. So it'll give them a little bit of background on where that might be coming from.
For sure. And like you had a really good idea of having tell one of your funniest moments in the dojo.
Yeah.
Right?
Dojo stories.
Dojo stories.
Competition stories or something.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got those. I mean,
For sure.
Every tournament you go to a training, there's always, funny, unique, quirky things that happen, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, in all dojos. So it's fun to share those things. So again, if you guys have any out there listening to us, let us know.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that. And then I was thinking, what was a trigger? What was a landmark moment where you took a corner? You came to a fork in the road in your training and you took a corner. And then, or you took you went to right or you went left, and what was the reason for that? So anyway, those are things in terms of, thinking stuff for the podcast.
Yeah.
That's stuff that I've been thinking about.
Coming down the line. And it's great because we talk obviously pretty much every day, but almost every day the podcast comes up too. Oh, we talk about the last podcast. This was really good. That was really good. This is what we should do. We're always trying to kind of tweak this. So again, if you guys have any suggestions, join our conversation. We want to get you guys involved as well. Okay, so for our Karate Global News, the first thing that I want to talk about a little here is on the WKF website, the article that says WKF President, that's Antonio Espinos, visits the United States Olympic Committee. So just last week, he visited the Olympic Committee to strengthen the relations and explore different cooperation opportunities with the Olympic Institute of the North American country. So President Espinos kind of going down there and trying to see what he can do, to talking about the Olympic Games in 2020. And he expressed just karate's intention to continue being an active member in the Olympic movement for years to come. So obviously he's not just looking at 2020, but he's looking at 2024 and beyond, which is absolutely what you want your president of your organization to do. And then he also said that he hopes that millions of the karate fans around the world, he wants to see them and the sport be incorporated in the 2020 Olympic Games and beyond. That's what I just said. And develop the progress of karate were also at top of the agenda in the meeting. So basically he just went down there to kind of talk a little bit with them. It was in Colorado Springs where he talked with the Olympic Committee, talking about where we're at now, how we can kind of keep this ball rolling, I think. So I think that's, like I said, that's exactly what you want.
Do you want to know what he talked about behind the scenes?
Oh, do you know what he talked about? Of course you do.
I have no direct knowledge, and I refuse to reveal my sources. Guess which cities are bidding for 2024 Summer Olympics?
For 2024 Summer Olympics. Now, I thought I heard Toronto was in the running, but that might have been for the Winter Olympics.
I don't know if Toronto's still going, and they haven't announced yet, but some have announced their bid. Paris and Los Angeles
I thought Paris
are in the running.
Okay. Wow.
And Los Angeles would make it the 40th anniversary. Yes, because 1984 was the Los Angeles Summer Olympic Games. There's a big moment.
Yeah.
76 was in Montreal. 1980 was in Moscow, and the Western countries boycotted it. 76, the Eastern Bloc might have boycotted it. So 84 was when all the countries were back on the game, and it was all live broadcast, and it was in LA, so the Hollywood world.
Yeah.
So they want to have it there. So I think that one of the reasons he came was the bid is going. It might be this summer in June that they announce which city gets 2024.
Okay.
Because they're going to be announcing the schedule for 2024.
Sure. Yeah.
And I would suspect that he was here going, so you guys you're pushing for karate, right?
Yeah.
Pushing for karate, right?
Yeah. Just making sure he gets his little 2 cents in there.
Yeah.
Which is great. And that's what you want. You want your president to be pushing those buttons and kind of keeping those doors open for sure. I mean, Los Angeles would be amazing because, for us on the West Coast, it's not too far.
So right now, the prospective 2024 cities, the finalists were announced on Wednesday. Budapest in Hungary, Hamburg in Germany, Los Angeles in Paris, and Rome in Italy.
Okay.
Right? So these are the finalists. And I think running at the very top of that would be Paris and Los Angeles. Budapest might have a bit of trouble, right? Because it's expensive, right? That's like the big thing.
Right. So you got to have an economic structure that can support that.
That's right. On February 3rd, the candidates will put in more of their bids. There's going to be bid city evaluations. Looks like Los Angeles, Budapest, and Paris. And then on September 13th, there's the election for the host city. So that's when it happens.
Okay.
So June is going to be the schedule for events, and then September 13th will be the election for the host city.
And June is also when we find out about 2024.
That's right.
For karate being in the Olympics. So we'll find out that before we even find out exactly where it is. So President Antonio Espinosa, I know you listen to this podcast every week. So it's great that you've gone down to Los Angeles, but maybe you should hit up all those other places too, just in case.
We've read your mind.
Yes, that's right. we know what's going on. So maybe
we send it.
Yeah, we send it. That's right. That's right. We were in our state. So that's some great stuff coming down the pipelines for karate. And this is a great kind of segue into the other karate global news that we wanted to talk about, which is that the venue for the 2018 World Karate Championships, the World Championships, kind of still remains in doubt. So what actually happened with the 2018 World Championships is it was supposed to be in South America, city of Bremen, for 2018. However, just earlier, late in 2016, it was revealed that there was concerns over the construction of the venue for the championships. And then they pulled it from there, and now they're still trying to find somewhere to have the World Championships in 2018. So a little bit of flux there, but I'm sure something will come up.
Give me a call.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you want somebody to find something, get it done. We know where to go.
I got $25 million for both sides.
Yeah, there you go. So they do say that it's still expected that they will have a venue ready for December 2018. That's when the World Championships are going to be next. So I mean, they don't know yet. They still are kind of thinking about it, but they'll find something for sure.
Well, the Nippon Budokan is available.
Yeah, and that's actually what they said. Last year's World Championships were so successful in Japan. It's there. Why not have it there again? But of course, you want to kind of spread that stuff around. So,
well last year was in Germany.
Oh no, last year was in Germany. That's right.
Last year was in Germany.
That's right.
They can go back, but they need a building, need a space.
That's right.
Need
I'm
staff.
thinking of the Japan National Championships.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, they need all that stuff.
There's lots of venues there. It's just more expensive to get everybody there.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've had the WUKA World Championships in Reno, and I think in Mexico, WKF Championships in Mexico, maybe 2002, and also maybe 1992. But yeah, I'm sure they're going to hopefully work it out.
Yeah,
And
well,
if
they
not,
said
they're going to move it.
Yeah, they said hopefully it'll be kind of worked out, and an announcement will be made in the coming weeks
Right
from
on.
the WKF. So keep an eye on that. We will also keep an eye on that, and if you want to hear more about that, obviously just listen to us.
That's right, because we got Booker Hotels. We'll be broadcasting live.
That's right. No matter where it is.
No matter where it is.
No matter where it is.
And we're looking for a sponsor to send us there.
That's right. And you can be that sponsor.
Exactly.
History of karate. Richard, I grew up and I did karate for several years in a dojo that used a shinai.
You guys got to whack each other with it? That sounds like fun.
Well, that would be nice. However, it was mostly just the sensei whacking us with the shinai. Yeah, so not so much each other, but
It's not in any modern coaching day courses is to walk around with the shiny anymore.
no. And I shouldn't say that he was hitting us. He never actually really obviously purposely hit us with it, but he did use it maybe as a, I don't know, intimidation factor for us to train harder. Because I remember every time he brought the shinai out, it was, ooh, okay, sensei's got the shinai.
Hey, Warren up there in Prince George, shout out to you. Thank you for donating a Shinai to the dojo because you said there should always be the fear of the Shinai walking around.
Ah, there it is. Well, there was definitely fear of the Shinai in our dojo.
Yes.
And of course, Warren would say that.
Yes.
But yeah, so what I wanted to talk a little bit about in our history of Japan this week is I want to know what exactly the Shinai, what the history of the Shinai is and what its traditional use was, not only in Japan and in karate, but kind of what it's evolves into. And I know this is something that you've looked at specifically, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, the Shinai is a Kendo weapon. So there's the Japanese sword arts. Going back, Japan used to be a warring country. So the Japanese samurai sword, the katana, right, is a curved blade, and you would learn how to train with it. It's curved, so when you're riding on horses or you're cutting people, it slides through the opponent.
Right. That's right. Doesn't get stuck.
Doesn't get stuck.
Yeah. Don't want to get your sword stuck.
No.
No, you want to slide through.
And so people would train to learn their different styles by training with wooden, with bokken or bokdo, which is a wooden style sword. And they would still whack each other. And then 17th or 18th century, they came up with putting flexible sheets of bamboo and tying it together and then whacking them with that and then putting on simple armor, especially after Japan became a peaceful country when the Tokugawa family of East Japan, located in Edo, which is Tokyo, was like 1603. They beat the west side of Japan and they took over the country. So a lot of the martial arts, they went from being like a really combat related and anybody could be a samurai, and it beat the Tokugawa shogunate codified the country, and they codified the classes into samurai, peasants, merchants, and artisans. And then at the top there was different levels of samurai. At the very top there's a shogun, and at the very top there was the emperor, but basically the emperor had no power at that point because they had been on the losing side in Kyoto. So they needed a way that they could practice together, and so they came up with the with the shinai, and simple armor for your head, your chest, and your wrists, because attacking someone's hands is a really good way of getting the sword out of their hand.
Sure, yeah.
The shinai, like a sword, comes in different lengths for different sizes of the person. And it's a really fast, if you can go online now and look at Kendo tournaments, they're really, really quick. There's not so much the slicing and dicing. There's more of a quick tag. There's really big, long swings, and it's a really aggressive and physical, and there's a lot of screaming and a lot more ki-eyes in the Iaido.
Right.
When you listen to the Iaido class, it's funny because I used to have a karate club in Japan where right beside it was a Kendo dojo, and you could hear them screaming all the time. You think like they're killing each other, like stabbing each other and stuff. So that's where the shinai comes from. Obviously, using the shinai in other martial arts was an idea of like in the most simple use, and you've probably had that, where the shinai comes over and they tap your back leg. Your back leg's bent, or put your arm down. To actually beating people with shinai. And in the battle days of martial arts, we had classes, and it wasn't just in, the battle karate clubs that I've been in, but I'm talking to other people while they were in them, where instructors whacked people with them harder than normal and it welted. I actually had a Shinai broken over the top of my head.
What? Really?
Yep. Yeah. It had been at the point, I think, of having been broken from whacking people for years and years and years.
Sure. I was going to say, you have to swing those things pretty hard to break it over somebody's head.
Broke over my head and welted. I had a welt from my, just over my eyebrows all the way back to just behind, right almost to the base of my neck. Not that far, but right through the whole hairline. Yeah. And it was one of those classes where I wasn't really doing anything wrong. It was just everybody getting hit by the Shinai and toughening everybody up. And at the time I thought, this is pretty cool. It hurt after, but at the moment I was like, you will not break me. Hit me with that Shinai again.
Do it again.
Do it again. And I remember talking to friends like, like my, one whose dad was a karate instructor. Dad used to whale us over the legs with that thing or hit us in the shins. And we had the Shinai would get broken on our shins and stuff. Not necessarily what we need to do in this day and age.
No.
So as you see, there is no visible Shinai I have several, but there's none in the karate club.
Yeah.
One, because our ceiling is so low, so
Can't really swing it.
Can't really swing it. But then, like a friend of mine, Paul in Kelowna, shout out. Hey, Paul, says, we're doing karate, have lower stances.
Yeah.
So the Shinai has been in the karate world has been, and maybe no one's really ever done it, but it's been something like, we kind of know how to use it. We've never really been trained with it. Let's whack people on the back of the legs and let's smarten them up.
Sure. Let's just use it.
Let's just make them think the way it is. I'm sure there's been lots of people who've, especially when you look at the rules of kumite, a lot of them really come from Kendo.
Yeah.
Tag, get a point, referee stops the match, right? And the speed and the idea of only several target areas and not using every single possible weapon or way. Like when you train in Iaido, like actually using of the sword, there's lots of different variations of techniques, even to using the hilt, like the butt,
Right.
Where in Kendo, you're just using a stab or you're using a type of attack, like a cross attack. You can use a slide across the body or attack to the head, the shoulders, or the wrists. So that's, should we know how to use the Shinai? I think it's actually a good idea to learn, but there are karate styles and jiu-jitsu styles and I think Aikido, they actually practice more with people swinging wooden swords at them, but not that fast.
Right.
And then learning how to take them out of their hand. I've always been leery of doing that stuff because having trained in Iaido for 4 years, someone who pulls a sword and actually knows how to use it, you're really in trouble.
Yeah, I can
you're
imagine.
Really in trouble. You have to be really aware of what you're doing because one little slip and you're toast.
Thankfully, most people don't carry around swords.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the history of the Shinai is a loose, fuzzy one. You probably do not really see it in a karate club anymore.
No. Would you agree that maybe the swimming pool noodle is the new Shinai?
Yeah, that's a really good point you brought up. I think the swimming pool noodle, which I call the pool noodle of death.
The pool noodle of death. Just to add some fear.
Right. I'm going to whack you on the head and it's not going to hurt. It's the pool noodle of death. I think that first you engage people faster.
Yeah.
You loosen them up.
Plus, they know what it is. They can see that they know it's just a pool noodle. Where you bring this big wooden, sword-looking thing out, it can kind of be a little creepy, freaky for you.
Well, the thing with that is, like the line from just I'm gonna tap your leg and be serious to abuse.
Yeah.
It's
a fine line.
It's a fine line, and then people thinking like, well, I'm allowed to get hit because it's supposed to make us tougher. When actually, you're just delusional. You're just being whacked.
You're just getting hit.
You're just getting abused, and it's wrong.
Yeah. Whereas if you're getting hit with a pool noodle, well, nobody's going to complain.
Yeah. But I think the way to appreciate the Shinai and the way we in karate should appreciate the Shinai is look at how it's used in Kendo and how effective and how fast it is.
Right.
And and appreciate the fact that those people in Kendo are really dedicated. Like they really train hard, and it's a sweaty and sometimes smelly, in the gear, martial art. But you have to be really committed. You have to be focused. So there are Kendo magazines out there, and you could drop the word Kendo and put in karate and almost get a lot of the same context out of it.
Sure, including the smelly gear.
Exactly. One of the really interesting things about using a Shinai in Kendo is that you can train and you can compete against other people in Kendo, right? As long as you can walk in 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you could be still whacking people and still training and getting a good workout. I think I told you once, the school I used to work at in Japan, they held a junior high school Kendo tournament every February on the first Sunday, and called the Fukudaha. I was shooting a documentary of it for like a 2-minute intro. So I was in the warm-up area where everyone's swinging the Shinai, like way behind them, way in front, way behind them, way in front, way behind. And I was moving around. I got whacked on the head again.
That's
I'm like,
right.
second time. I'm used to this. I can handle it.
Yeah.
So should you have a Shinai in your dojo? Sure. Should you learn how to use it? For sure. But let's learn how to use it correctly and not actually whack each other with it.
Boom. All right, well, that's a great little transition into the next thing we want to talk a little about. We obviously wanted to talk about the history of karate, the Shinai. What I also wanted to discuss with you is the future of
I love the
karate.
future. Shodai.
Shodai
is the future.
Karate.
Yes.
So, obviously, lots of things changing in the karate world. You know, new rules that just were implemented this year. Lots of things probably as we try and, you know, just evolve the sport, really. One of the things that I've always wondered, and I kind of look at the Taekwondo model for this. So in Taekwondo, in the Olympics, they only have fighting. So there is a kata version in Taekwondo, but it's not in the Olympics. They just have the fighting, and they do rounds of kumite. So they do 2-minute rounds. So what I was wondering is, in kumite for karate, do you ever see there being, at least maybe in the medal rounds, I can see it being hard for a big tournament, but in the medal rounds, having, you know, 2 or maybe 3 rounds of 2 minutes or whatever it is for kumite?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think there are some tournaments in Europe, and you can see Agiev and George Tanos fight. I can't pronounce the name in my head here. I think it's in the Eastern European country, where they do like 2 or 3 rounds. It's like a pro karate tournament.
Okay.
And they come out to like music, you know, like the lights are out, and they got the spotlight, and they go in and they have
entertainment.
A little entertainment. They do 2 or 3 rounds, get some prize money. And I think the karate 10,000 pound challenge is being restarted by the
Great.
and we should probably look that up. I think it's going to happen in it's this year for sure. But I used to the 10K challenge. I think there are some videos when they used to hold it like 10 or 15 years ago. But I like the idea of rounds, especially if you don't have to go to another match. Like if you know it's 5 to 7 rounds to get to the finals. So if you can have a finals the day after you've gone through all the eliminations, that's 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I would also like to see the rounds to be shorter.
Yes, me too.
You know?
Like 2 minutes, I think, is a good time. I mean, right now you have 3 minutes or 4 minutes for seniors in the medal rounds. Stop time, that's obviously a lot to do, but 2-minute rounds, I think, would be great, and especially in the medal rounds. Like I said, as you're kind of going through the tournament in a large tournament, you might be there all day if you're doing 2 rounds of each matchup. But I think for the medal rounds and especially the gold medal match, it's a great idea because then you can really find out, you know, who's the better athlete on this day.
It's tricky to have, like, there are amateur sports that obviously offer cash prizes.
Yes.
It's tricky to do it in combat sports because there are rules once you start giving money, because there's athletic commissions which handle, you know, combat sports. You know, it's famous in boxing.
Right.
But there should be a way where when you're sparring, to encourage more activity, to maybe wait, you know, the points are higher, and the points, as you go into the match, the points get less and less, or your money purse starts to drop or something.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of you know, 3 2-minute matches, 3 2-minute rounds with a 1 minute break in between.
Yeah, because 2-minute rounds, or 2 rounds, I mean, obviously gets tough because what if one person wins 1 round and the other person wins the other round?
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure how Taekwondo does it. They might go on points for and against type thing. But yeah, 3-minute or 3 rounds with a minute in between would be great.
Yeah, and I like the idea of, like, okay, you get up to 8 points ahead, the match is over, the round goes to you.
Yes.
Right? So if it's like team kumite. So if you win 2 rounds, there's no third round.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right? It's done. So it's funny in team kumite where you get people counting the points. And you're like, okay, we're up to, it's the, you know, they've won 2, we've won 2.
Yes.
But we're not going to have a third because the way the points went, we've collected so many points, like, you know, 9-3, and the next one was like, you know, 10-6
Yes.
or something.
I've been in that position before in Team Kumite at the national championships where they were counting points and I was the fifth fighter that goes up. And my coach tells me, I don't care if you win or lose this fight. Just don't let him score more than 3 points on you.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, that's fine. Like I'll just
Yes.
go in there and jam him. So yeah, it gets a little bit tricky, I think, when you're counting points. I think it should just be who wins each round and who is the better fighter. But I think it's something that can certainly be used.
Well, the very easy thing is to have open tournaments where it doesn't matter. Like you just say, okay, we're gonna pick one women's division, maybe let's say the women's open and the men's open, and at the end there's going to be a 3-minute round segment. Of course, you've got to make sure that people actually get through to it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then maybe you can offer them something, whoever wins it gets something a little bit nicer than, not just a trophy, but something else.
Yeah.
When I was running the Vancouver Karate Cup, once I invited 2 athletes to who were really, really talented to spar against each other. And I gave them some money for an honorarium for their time. And then we had all the kids sit around that ring. And like, okay, you 200 kids on that side will cheer on that athlete, and you 200 kids on the other side, you're going to cheer on that athlete. And it was awesome. And then the 2 guys were great. They didn't just bounce for 3 minutes. Like they actually tried to. I said, come on guys, just try and win by 8 points ahead.
Yeah.
Like just have it out.
Just go.
And they were friends, but at the same time they had it. It was great. So the idea of having rounds is a really good idea. And a segment to that might be difficult, but if you guys are organizing tournaments out there, one thing you do that Arakawa Sensei does is you'll have a tournament, and at the end of the day, all the finalists will line up for a show for like an hour and a half show.
Right.
And so they'll have everybody who's the red will have red will stand on one side, blue will stand on the other side. They all bow in. Then the 8-9-year-old finals will go, and then the 10-11 finals, and then 12-13 finals, and 14-15, and then whatever, and you go up to the adults, and it's like a really neat show.
That's cool.
And then the other thing too is like all the teams stay and they cheer everybody on, and so so I actually kind of like that because you could say to somebody, well, if you really want to come see the best of the best, come to the end at the show, and then when everyone's lined up, it's like 2 different teams, and there's a small to taller in height range.
Yeah.
I think it's really cute.
And just a couple of rounds, if they were doing a couple of rounds, it makes it interesting. And I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility because I certainly remember a time in Kumite competition where if you would sometimes, if you came through repechage, you would have to beat whoever kind of won all the matches. You might have to beat them twice in a single event in order to win gold. Like, so say you lost one match, one particular person won all the matches, you went through repechage, you won all your matches, and then you're back against the person who's first. You have a chance to beat them twice. So you can beat them once, but then you have to go into another match and beat them. So that's basically like having rounds. So no, I think that's great.
Hoo-yah! Woo-yah! Hoo!
Okay, so this week we want to talk a little bit about a karate training tip, and I wanted to bring something that can be applicable to both kata and kumite athletes, whether you're a dojo athlete, a traditional athlete, a recreational athlete, or a competing elite athlete. And
Hit me.
I'm just talking about, we're not talking about high-intensity interval training anymore, Richard.
Okay.
We did that last week. Don't need to hit.
Connect Jamie.
Connect Jamie. Make me pliable. That was funny, actually, before we get into it. The other day when we were we had trainings, and you kind of warmed up the class, and then it was time to do some stretching or whatever, and you just looked at me, you said, Kalan, pliability. I said, on it, let's go. I just got them all stretched out. But for this week, for our karate training tip, I just want to talk a little bit about a way to train to utilize all your muscles. And again, this is important for kata and kumite or whatever type of athlete that you are. So we know, and I'm sure you've heard before, that you have many different types of muscles in your body, but you have fast twitch and you have slow twitch. There's different kind of levels of each, but let's just keep it simple and say you have fast twitch and slow twitch. Slow twitch obviously does the slow movements as well as the holding movements. Like when you're holding a stance, you're mostly using slow twitch muscle fibers. When you're going through movements quite slowly, those are slow twitch. Fast twitch muscle fibers are the fast ones that you use maybe for kumite or exploding to the next movement in kata. So when we're training for karate, we need to remember to train both the slow twitch and the fast twitch muscles, not only separately, but together at the same time as well. And a simple way to do that, for me, when I get people to train in the gym, what I often get them to do is I'll get them to do a squat, because squats are usually a slower movement. You don't usually, you can do them fast, but you do slow, with weighted squats, down, up, get them to do about 8 reps. And then as soon as they're done, those are their slow twitch get to their fast twitch and start getting to do box jumps or squat jumps or something that really gets them exploding right away. And that's the same thing you can do with anything. You know, push-ups, you can do nice and slow push-ups for 10, and now 10 push-ups nice and fast, as fast as you can go. Because, I mean, you have a variety of fast and slow twitch muscles in each group, in each muscle group. So you want to activate and get both the fast and the slow twitch muscles trained.
That makes a lot of sense, you know, because you're utilizing different parts of your body.
Absolutely.
And eye blink is a fast twitch, right?
Eye blink is absolutely a fast twitch. Yes, it is. You use your fine motor movements on those ones. And something that athletes forget to do is if, you know, they're a kata athlete, they'll mostly just train either slow or fast twitch muscles. But you need to remember to train them both at the same time and concurrently. And what we also know is that we don't need to get into too much detail about it, but we also know is that you'll actually be able to produce more force in your muscles when you pre-activate your muscles with a slow twitch movement.
Interesting.
So for example, when going back to our squat example, when you squat and then you do a vertical jump test or whatever, you'll be able to actually jump higher and you'll have more force from your legs after you do a squat than when you do absolutely nothing, which doesn't make sense to some people. It's like, well, what, you know, if you rest and then do a jump, you should be, you know, able to jump higher because your muscles aren't going to be fatigued. But actually, when you do a squat and then you go and do a high jump, you'll actually produce more force if you do the squat before. So that's why you should definitely do your slow twitch muscle training as well as fast twitch, and do the slow twitch first. Do the slow twitch and then do the fast twitch. And you'll just find that you'll just overall improve your karate performance, whether it's kata or kumite, because each performance has fast and slow twitch movements.
Guess what we're doing tomorrow?
We're going to be doing slow push-ups followed by fast push-ups.
Exactly.
Slow squats followed by fast squats.
I got to think of it like a nickname for this. Is there a nickname for do slow then do fast?
We
do a little slow fast.
Well, here I'll give you a kinesiology term since I know you're all about it. When you do the slow, when you're activating those muscles to get to the fast, we call it post-activation potentiation.
Post-activation potentiation.
PAP or just PAP training.
PAP?
PAP.
Not pineapple pen or...
Not pineapple apple pen. No, not pineapple apple pen. Post-activation potentiation, which is just basically you're activating your muscles in the slow twitch. Post-activation, you're potentiating you're getting greater potential in your muscles. So post-activation potentiation or just PAP.
PAP. Okay. In my head, I was like, what do I tell the kids? Do it slow and then fast. Do it slow fast. Give me a slow fast.
Give me a slow fast.
Give me a slow fast. I was trying to think of something like, give me a slow fast. Oh, Sesame means 5 slow, 5 fast.
Yes. Yeah. We'll come up with something.
We'll work on it.
It'll come in the moment, I bet.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there you go. There's the karate training tip of the week. Make sure to train your slow and fast twitch muscle fibers. Okay, it's been a little while since we've done a karate crossover athlete, but actually the last one we did was several weeks ago, and this one is exactly the same person.
Hit me!
But Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the UFC title contender, has finally got his rematch with the welterweight for the welterweight title against Tyrone Woodley. So Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, as we talked about before, a former Kempo karate athlete. He's a black belt. He trains out of Upstate Karate in the States, and he like I said before, he uses this hashtag karate fighters. He likes to call himself a karate fighter, and he certainly is. He's going to get his chance to rematch to get the welterweight title. So
that's what he does in his day job.
That's right.
Teaches karate.
He does. He's I believe he is the organizer or the leader of the kids group of the kids group at Upstate Karate.
I heard he drives the after school van like me.
Does he really?
Yeah, we don't pass each other in the day.
No, of course not. Of course
we're
not.
in different sides of the continent. Yeah, but I heard that's what he does.
Yeah,
and maybe now he's made a little bit more of that sweet UFC money. He's hired somebody, but
yeah, maybe, or maybe he just likes to be in the dojo as most people do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where you got to be.
Yeah, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. The rematch comes on March 4th. It's in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we're going to keep an eye on that and see if we can have another karate athlete become a UFC champion. So that'll be interesting and fun to watch. So again, we'll just keep an eye on that, and that's coming down the pipelines. Well, Richard, we flew by those today. We got some segments in there, and that's kind of what we wanted to do, is just kind of bring you guys a bunch of different karate things for this episode and pound them through. But that's what we got for this week.
Fantastic. So some upcoming tournaments?
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what's upcoming. We've already talked a little bit about the K1 in Paris, France, January 27th to 29th. So that's this coming weekend. If you're listening to this on Monday morning when these episodes come out, this weekend will be the K1 in Paris, France. So we'll talk about that in the next couple of weeks. Also coming up later in February is the European Karate Federation Junior Cadet and U21 Championships in Bulgaria. And that's in February 17th to 19th. And then, of course, the Karate Canada National Championships in Quebec City the following weekend. That's February 24th to 26th.
We'll be there.
We'll be there, and we'll be hopefully broadcasting live as well. And Richard, I think you found another couple ones you want to talk about?
Yeah, I know that Toki Hill, former head coach of the U.S. team and 1980 world champion, he organizes the martial arts competitions inside the Arnold Sports Festival, and that's going to be March 2nd to the 5th. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's festival.
Okay.
Columbus, Ohio, I think. That's been going on for ages and ages. And this could be one of the largest martial arts tournaments in the United States.
Sweet.
And Toki Sensei's always invited me to go down, and I've always, for some reason, haven't been able to make it. Maybe this year we'll go.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you want to go compete in a really amazing venue, the Columbus Convention Center, actually it's in Ohio Expo Center. This thing is so massive now. They've got everything. So just go to arnoldsportsfestival.com. You can see all the details.
And then, of course, there is a big one coming up later on in this calendar year that you might know a little something about as well.
That's right. Canada Open, June 3rd and 4th. Actually, we've almost finalized the logo for it.
That's great. That's right. We were just going over that before. Yeah.
So we almost finalized the logo. We've gone from the horribly generic ones to the now very fantastical, really sweet looking original.
Yeah, it's looking great, and those things are just all coming together for the Canada Open. You know, people are starting to be aware of it. Everybody, you know, it seems like that we talk about around here is all talking about, oh, well, the Canada Open is going to be a big one. I can't wait for the Canada Open.
It's going to be awesome. So I hope. Actually, next week, we're going to try and finalize the poster and the registration forms. And so the week after, everything's going to be up on the website. We'll start sending stuff out.
That's great. So keep an eye on that. You can find it on the Karate BC website. You can also find it on our website, www.karate360podcast.com. Also, we have some social media as well, Twitter and Facebook, Karate360 Podcast. So again, find us on there. And thanks for listening, guys. And again, if you have anything to add, if you want to talk to us, join our conversation, get a hold of us on there. You can also email us at Karate360, spell out Karate 360, not just 360, spell out 360, karate360@gmail.com, or again, find us on social media. And yeah, join our conversation. Let us know what you think about what we got, and any ideas you have, let us know.
Absolutely. We look forward to hearing from you. It's great when we bump into people. And next episode is Niju, number 20.
Ooh, the big Niju.
Yep. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can chat about then.
Yeah, we got some ideas. So we'll get to you guys there. And again, these come out Monday morning, so don't forget to subscribe, like, share, let your friends know, tell your family, write a book, whatever. Just make sure that you listen to us on Monday mornings. Thanks, guys.
I'm Richard Mosdell.
I'm Kalan Anglos. We'll talk to you guys next week.
San Rokumaru.